Because I had been involved in accessibility issues in the mid 1980s. I
Jeez.
actually testified on one of the original versions of the ADA before you guys were actually born.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the next Brews episode of the WCAT podcast, Spilling the Tea on Digital Accessibility. Today, we have someone really fun with us today. His name is Todd Elzey. And Todd, can you introduce yourselves to our listeners?
Absolutely. Good afternoon, everyone. And I'm a program manager at Accessibility Officer. I came to Accessibility Officer through the CAT program. I currently live in Ohio, and I'm originally from Ohio, but I have also lived in upstate New York and Sacramento, California. And I'm happy to be here today to talk to you about AO and all the opportunities in digital accessibility testing.
Awesome. And even though Todd came up through the CAP program with us, that was last year, right, Todd?
It was indeed.
So even though Todd came up through the CAP program, he's actually been involved in the digital accessibility space for longer than Ellie and I have been put together. Probably longer than I've been alive, right, Todd? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
That depends on when you were born, but I have been
91. Ellie and
working.
I were both born in
Yeah,
91.
because I had been involved in accessibility issues in the mid 1980s. I
Jeez.
actually testified on one of the original versions of the ADA before you guys were actually born.
Wow. We
So
just
you
recently
predate the
had an
80th.
episode. Yeah, we just recently had an episode where we talked about the ADA and how that came into being. So can you elaborate upon that?
Yeah, I was legislative liaison coordinator for the National Federation of the Blind, and the federal government was doing a series of hearings all around the country on the original version of the ADA, and one of the hearings was in San Francisco. And I was one of the lucky people who got to go down and present testimony on the bill. And amazingly, it's hard to believe in this day and age with what I do now, but I actually testified against the law
Mm.
because it was just what they were proposing wasn't workable. It was the first versions of it was just wild, and it was not doable for anybody and wouldn't have been a good thing. Fortunately, by 90, when they actually passed it, that was in early 87.
Hmm.
And by 90, when they actually passed the law, they had turned it into something that was much better than the original version.
Wow. So, yeah, man who has deep roots in accessibility. Um, I mean, so you've been involved in this kind of field on and off for the last 30 or so years. Can you tell us, how that has changed from then to what you see today as a project manager at AO?
Oh, it's so different because back in the 80s, what we were talking about were mostly physical accessibility issues, even for the blind. It was program and physical accessibility issues. None of this digital stuff was around then. And there was no internet, there was no cell phone, there was just no digital things at all. I got my first computer, I think, in 88, and my first computer programming was actually in high school, but it was on what was called a dumb terminal that was hooked into a mainframe computer in a big building in downtown Columbus, Ohio. And it was, there was speech output, but to it, but it was all text. There was no graphics, nothing fancy with it at all. And you had to even be able to use it, you had to be able to use a programming language. So
Wow.
it's gone
Wow.
a long way, and now we're using The phone that you hold in your hand every day
Mm.
has more computing power by a long way than anything we worked with back in the 80s did. I mean, not even comparable. And that has created so much opportunity for blind people in the workforce, but it's also created this whole digital accessibility testing field because um, for blind people to be able to use and for other just people with disabilities to be able to use that technology, it has to be
Mhm.
accessible to our tools that we use to scroll websites and to read PDF documents and to send emails. And that's
Right.
where this has just changed everything.
Wow, what a journey.
It
So, what
has
are some of the
been
other
a
jobs
journey.
that you have done in the past besides like before you got in with accessibility officer? What were you besides being a lawyer and testifying and all that stuff, fighting for disability
Well,
rights?
I worked, well, I started out as a paralegal, worked for a couple of private law firms, then switched over to where I worked for the state of California for 13 years. I was actually the ADA coordinator, one of the very first ADA coordinators in California at the California State Lottery Commission. And then I moved over to the California Department of Social Services, where I worked in child care programs of all things as a legislative analyst, and then ended up in their legal division where I did a lot of contract work and a few accessibility issues even there. And after that, I moved upstate New York where I became a Medicare appeal officer. And then following that job, which I held for 8 years, I became a freelance journalist of all things. And I did that for about 6 years. And that industry changed, and I was looking to get back into accessibility work. And lo and behold, a friend of mine was a couple last summer actually was at the NFB National Convention in New Orleans and heard Tanner Gerz's presentation about AO and texted me from the convention. You got to check these people out. I think this is what you've been looking for a long time. And indeed it was. So here I am.
Wow. Wow. Small world that, really allows people to connect and find just where they should be.
It is
Um,
indeed. And
yeah. What a lot of people don't know about Todd is that he's extremely humble. We knew from the get-go as he was coming up through the CAP program that we needed him for more than just digital accessibility testing. I mean, he's just elaborated to you some of his previous positions and accomplishments, and the guy does not know how to quit. Um, when he was offered, employment, he was so promising that we decided to give him a project management role to see how well he would do in managing different clients and different testers, and he's done very, very well. Um, so it just goes to show that even though you may think that digital accessibility is an entry-level job, if you have prior qualifications, we recognize that at Accessibility Officer. And we try to do our best to find a job that fits your particular talents, your particular needs, so that we can continue offering people jobs.
I think that's something that people need to understand about the CAT program. CAT is, yes, it's foremost a program to train people on how to test digital access digital assets like websites. But this career field with those skills goes so far beyond that nowadays, whether you take it into testing, project
Mhm.
management, accessible gaming, um, training. There's a
Mhm.
high need for training in this area. Become a coder. You can become a coder and actually program websites yourself and make them accessible, software testing, software design. I mean, the door's just wide open to the opportunities available in this
Mm.
field. And IT isn't going anywhere. This is, if anything, I think the IT jobs will keep increasing. And, people talk a lot about AI nowadays, and AI is big, obviously. And I've seen people say, oh, AI is going to take away testing jobs. And that's nonsense. Um, AI is not going to take away jobs, because what we know as testers is automated testing only finds somewhere between 20 and 40% of issues in
Mhm.
digital assets. It just, the way computers talk to each other, it'll never find 100% of the issues or even close to them, because that requires human interaction. It requires human thought and rational thinking, I guess, is the best way I can describe it. It just
Right.
needs to be done by a human.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because AI is good at parsing data, right? But it does not work very well without context. And as
Mhm.
you know, when you're testing a website, that context of your environment, your assistive technology, your unique lived experience, that in itself is something that AI can't touch at this point.
Yeah. And
Absolutely.
context was the word I was looking for and failing to find. Yeah.
That's right. AI is smart, but does not have the sufficient context
No,
to understand what it's testing for.
Yep, and it's not going to work very well for you in terms of efficiency if you're spending so much time feeding it context that you might as well have just done it yourself.
exactly.
Mhm.
There's a point where it becomes much quicker and much more accurate for a human tester to look at a site and say, yes, this is or isn't an issue because of the context.
Mhm.
Yeah, for real. Yep.
So we've talked a little bit about Todd's accomplishments and um, Todd stepping up into the project management role. Todd, can you share with us, without getting too deep into the weeds, I want to know from your perspective because, after, I used to be your instructor. So, we've actually never had a sit down to talk about how your perspective has changed as you've stepped into this new role, right? Because when you were my student, you were going to initially be an accessibility tester. So, without, sharing too much about our clients and things of that nature, what are some common patterns you see that companies, organizations do from time to time that does not meet accessibility requirements? And then also, um, how can anyone who is listening who wants to get into the digital accessibility field, um, how can they maximize their potential? So, two-part question.
All right. Well, first, let's talk about the field there in terms of how my perspective has changed, because it has most definitely changed. Um,
Hmm.
there is a big difference in sitting down and looking at a website or a training website and then taking into consideration the client's needs. Clients will have various needs, um, and clients come to us with varying levels of accessibility expertise. We work mostly with Title II entities, which are government agencies, for those of you who aren't familiar with that. And I've got a wealth of government experience. But what I've found, even in this job, is that most government entities, and I think it's because of the programmers, the industry as a whole just doesn't understand accessibility.
Hmm.
One thing that I tell people is it's much easier to build something accessible than it is to retrofit it and make it accessible. And
Oh yeah.
a lot of people make their lives way more complicated by building these great websites and never considering accessibility.
I
And
I just want to cut in real quick, and I do apologize, but we literally just had a podcast episode that was talking about this exact same concept. So it's hilarious that you are basically parroting what we were saying in our other
Yep.
episodes. So I that's hilarious to me that you see these same patterns
Yep.
continuing.
yeah, well, and I've seen this pattern since the 80s, even in physical
Mm.
accessibility, where
Hmm.
it's a lot easier to build a building accessible and make it accessible from the ground up rather than retrofit it to make it accessible once it's in place. So
Hmm.
it's the
Yeah.
same concept. Um,
Yeah,
and
I think B used a Lego structure as his like metaphor there. Like,
Talk about what you know, right? I don't
exactly.
know much except building Legos because my kids have me build them all the time. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, and I also think that clients often don't understand what um, blind and disabled people go through in accessing website.
Mm.
It's interesting sometimes to have a screen reader demonstration done for client, and they see how the website doesn't work with screen readers, and then they're like, oh, that really doesn't work, does it? There's no way you can understand the information on our website with that. But I think it takes that experience sometimes for clients to actually see and hear that to understand it. And that's a different perspective for me in this also.
Hmm. Yeah.
Now, from
yeah.
the standpoint of what people can do to get ready for this job, learn basic Office um, products, Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Office products, uh, Outlook, Teams, all of that. We live on those products all day, every day.
Hmm.
Everything. We all work remote. I'm sitting here in Columbus. B's in Southern California.
Hmm.
Ellie's in Texas. And that's the way we work organization. We have people all over the country from the East Coast to the West Coast. Um, so everything is digital. Learn everything you can about your screen reader. We use NVDA. One of the things, and some people use JAWS as well, but NVDA is free, doesn't have the high price tag of JAWS. And one thing that we find with JAWS a lot of times is JAWS is so good that it will actually fix accessibility issues in the background. Whereas NVDA is more of a basic screen reader because it's open source and not quite as robust, and it allows you to find testing issues. But whatever your screen reader is that you're going to use, learn it backwards, forwards, inside out, and learn how to do everything you can with it. If I had
Absolutely.
anything to go back and do before I started CAT, I would probably take NVDA apart with a fine tooth comb and learn everything I could about it.
Hmm. And then
Yeah.
uh I totally agree. Having those basic skill sets and being able to master that will set someone up with a very, very solid foundation. Um, before we started on this episode, we asked Todd for a couple of interesting facts about himself, and just so that we are out of the weeds about digital accessibility, I kind of want you guys to hear who Todd is as a person. And one of the weirdest things I've heard is that Todd likes pizza and ice cream, right? We all like pizza and ice cream, right? Meat lovers, Rocky Road, or cookies and cream. That's my jam. But Todd likes them together.
Yeah, now I don't mix them together, but I
Oh,
will eat
okay.
them together at
Oh
the
my
same
goodness.
time.
I thought you meant you mixed them together.
Oh
Okay.
no 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 no! I'm crazy. I'm not that crazy.
I
You
was
know, you
just
know what I
like,
want to
Um,
know? You've lived in three different states. What is your favorite pizza chain?
There is a pizza chain here in Ohio called Flyers Pizza. I kind of grew up with it. It's in the little town that I'm from called West Jefferson,
Hmm.
and they also have a location in Hilliard for those of you who might know the Columbus area. And it is the best pizza I have ever had in my life. They use a sweet um,
Oh, you like pizza
sauce,
with sweet
pizza sauce.
sauces.
Yeah, it's a sweet pizza
Oh.
sauce, and
Mm.
it's the best pizza you're ever going to have anywhere. And I've had pizza now, well, probably in 15 different states, 3 different countries, and on cruise ships. So,
Mhm.
and it's
You're a
still the best pizza.
connoisseur.
Yeah, you're a connoisseur
Uh,
of fine pizza.
Yeah.
well,
Or not so fine pizza.
n- I've had my fair share of not so fine pizza, yes.
Yeah.
But yes, Flyers Pizza is a fantastic pizza. So
I'm real
that's my
basic.
favorite.
I like Domino's. So here's a question that is probably on well, it's on my mind. So I'm going to assume that it's on our listeners' minds, and it's going to determine if you stay hired or get fired from accessibility officer, depending on what your answer is, okay? Pizza with
Oh,
pineapple or without pineapple?
oh, pizza with ham and pineapple is an awesome
Get
option.
out. Todd, you're
Uh,
fired. You're fired. That's
You're gonna have to fire
disgusting.
me too, B. I also love
No.
pineapple.
Oh, gross. All
You're
right,
gonna have to
listeners,
hold down this fort by yourself.
listeners,
uh,
if you're listening, if you don't like pineapple on pizzas, we're no longer friends.
don't listen to
Pineapple
him.
was
He
meant
doesn't know what he's talking about.
pineapple was meant to be cold, eaten cool right off the, right, not baked onto a an Italian pie.
No, and then if you really want to make a good bee, you got to add in pepperoni and onions to it too.
Oh, see, I'll eat all that. I'll just take
I'm
off
down with
the
that.
pineapples. What about
You know what
weird
I don't
stuff
believe
Ham,
like
belongs
pine.
on pizza?
what?
I'm sorry.
Barbecue. Do you know what I believe doesn't belong on pizza?
What's that?
Barbecue sauce.
No way. Barbecue sauce is delicious on pizza.
Nope, nope,
If
nope,
it,
nope.
Todd, are you a
that
barbecue chicken fan?
I am, and
Yeah,
barbecue
Ellie, get
Yeah.
chicken
out.
pizza is
Ellie, you're
awesome.
also fired. What about you like people put some weird stuff in their pizza. I've actually never had it because it just sounds gross, but like anchovies,
No, no, no.
Yep.
just
Nope.
fish on pizza
Nope.
Nope.
just sounds really unnatural. It's like mixing so even as an adult, I make a really good fried rice. Yeah, but it creeps me out because when I make chicken fried rice, if you think about it, you're cooking a mama with its babies. You got the chicken and the eggs.
I never thought about it that way.
I may
Did I
never
just
eat fried
ruin
rice
chicken fried
again, and
rice
I
for
love it.
our listeners? Yeah, so every time I make fried rice, I get really weirded out because I think to myself, man, that whole family of chickens is just totally derailed by my dinner.
I ordered anchovies on a pizza one time because my best friend convinced me to do it in college. And I was like, I'll just get sausage on my half. And he's like, okay, I'll get anchovies on my half. Don't do it, you guys. The dorm room smelled like fish for like 2 weeks
Oh
and like it
no.
rooted out the entire pizza. It was not
Oh
okay.
boy. Yeah. I
Everybody, you
guess I'm
see what fun you're going to have if you come to work for AO.
yeah. Yep. So if you do want to come and work for AL, make sure that you are one of those normal people that does not care for pineapple on pizzas, that likes barbecue sauce on pizzas. So yeah, that's like you're if you are one of these people, you're a shoo-in already. Just, hint hint. So yeah, I mean, so Todd, you also talked to us about how you have three adopted children. You actually flew to Taiwan to do that. Can
I,
you can
I
you
did
just share a
indeed.
little bit about that? Because Ellie and I are parents,
Yeah.
but we have biological children.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah. What was
in
that like as a
2000
blind parent?
Well, it was an experience. Let me tell you, when my ex-wife and I decided we could not have children together, for a medical reason, we started the process of international adoption. We originally were going to adopt from Russia, but as soon as the Russian authorities found out that I was blind and had a hearing loss, they said, nope, we will never adopt kids to parents with disabilities.
Wow.
And we were out. There's no legal protections in Russia for that. They can do whatever they want. So we were out, and we had to adjust our goals, and we tried China. Ran into problems in China because not because of the disability, but because of political and legal things that were going on at the time. And
Hmm.
then we ended up in adopting from Taiwan. We ended up adopting a sibling group. And I will say that Taiwan didn't care one whit about the disability at all. They were more interested in finding good parents for the kids. And
Mm.
that's how we ended up adopting in Taiwan. Traveling to Taipei was a unique experience. Let's put it that way. It's a 24-hour plane trip.
Wow.
One leg of the trip was 12 hours, a 12-hour solid flight between Detroit and Tokyo, Japan. And if you've ever flown on a plane from coast to coast in the US, multiply that by 3,
Mm.
and you're still not done with your trip. You have layovers in there. So, but in Taipei, I was pleasantly surprised at the accessibility. In some ways, Taipei had more accessibility than the US did at the time. So it was interesting, interesting
Like what?
experience.
Like what?
Yeah,
Well,
what exactly?
just curb cuts were everywhere.
Hmm.
Um, there were, and nobody seems to have a problem with the fact that you might have a disability at all.
Mm.
Um, I'm sure if you live there, I'm sure there's discrimination and I'm sure there's issues just like there is everybody else. But as a visitor, we didn't see it. We saw a
Yeah.
very accessible community and a very welcoming community.
Wow.
Wow, that's awesome. I have
You
heard
wouldn't
that the
think.
US is a little bit behind in terms of infrastructure,
It,
transportation and such, and accessibility.
yes, yeah, and that was I think the transportation accessibility was what I noticed the most,
Hmm.
particularly in public transit. You don't drive cars in Taipei. Nobody has cars. The one thing you do have to be careful about in Taipei is scooters.
Mm.
Everybody has a scooter. Now, fortunately, they're not the silent one like they are here. They're more like mini motorcycles that you can
Yes.
actually hear. So
Yeah.
there's that. But scooters are everywhere. Scooters are prevalent.
Mm.
And it's interesting crossing streets there because in the downtown business district, the surface street can be 6 lanes wide.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's and the and it was interesting because they allow you over there. They have a process where you can actually cross the street diagonally.
Really? Like
Yeah.
catty corner?
Wow.
Yep.
So that you don't have
Corner
to
to
go
corner.
straight and then turn. Yeah.
You
That's
you do
funky.
not. They have a light sequence where you can cross directly diagonally in some
Oh
places on
man,
big
that is
street.
funky.
And
That is
it
crazy. Is that
really
just for people with
is
disabilities or is that for anyone?
anyone, anyone.
Okay. Yeah, because my
So they
husband
have.
So
spent some time in Panama and he told me that people with disabilities there, when they're crossing the street, like all the cars will stop and let the person with disabilities cross.
Wow, that's crazy.
yeah. Wow,
Yeah.
I
Out
hadn't
here.
heard that one, but But yeah, anyone can use the diagonal crosswalks in Taipei. It was a different experience.
Wow. That's kind of neat, but
Yeah.
I'd be kind of terrified that I was walking a little off kilter into the middle of traffic.
Yeah, it's hard enough to just keep
I
on a
don't,
straight line.
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think you would have that issue because the other thing, as I recall it, the crosswalks were all paved differently,
Oh,
Oh,
okay. Yeah.
like
That's neat.
tactile with bricks.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you could
Wow.
so
tell
it
when you
wasn't
were
just
in the
the
crosswalk.
so it
It
wasn't
wasn't
just
just a
paint
pair
on
of
the ground, it
lines.
was the
Yeah.
texture of the actual pavement.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it
That
would
is so
definitely be something
neat.
you'd have to learn what is and what
Right.
isn't, but it seemed to me like, and that's one of the things I mentioned about it just being more open, more accessible.
All right. So our next
It's like,
episode, uh, uh, on our next episode, we'll be recording from Taipei, Taiwan, because Tanner will pay for us to go and check out the accessibility, right?
uh, good luck there.
Um, so yeah, I mean, that's so crazy to me because I mean, being able to cross from corner to corner would just save you on so much time. But um,
Yeah.
we're so thankful for you, Todd, stepping up and choosing to allowing us to just have a powwow with you. Ellie and I are also blind parents, and so it's always interesting to kind of hear other people's stories, um, and other people's perspectives on digital accessibility and how that's impacted them. So, um, we recently had Sherry on here, and so it's very, very interesting to see how your story and Sherry's story is a little similar. The lawyer background and didn't get into digital accessibility, but have been adjacent to it, and now that you're both in it, you guys are rock stars. So, if you are a listener listening to our conversations, we hope that you enjoyed this episode. We hope that you gained something from just listening to us have regular conversations. If you are interested in becoming a digital accessibility tester, please reach out to us at Accessibility Officer. We hold a program called the CAT program, Certified Accessibility Tester, CAT, and we will teach you how to become a digital accessibility tester, how to leverage your AT skills, assistive technology, and your critical thinking skills to find the answers you need in order to make the digital space more accessible, more inclusive. Thank you guys so much for listening. We are so
Yeah,
appreciative of you tuning into the WCAT podcast, spilling the tea on digital accessibility. Thank you, Todd, so much for
you're
being
awesome.
here.
Yeah, we
Ellie,
really
And
you want
B,
to?
appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
May I add one thought before we leave?
Sure.
Yes, words of wisdom from
Oh,
Todd.
Yeah, there you go. Words of
okay.
wisdom.
Well, here's my words of wisdom to all of you out there. We as blind people have been told over all our lives, we've all heard it at some point. You can't do this or you can't do that because you're blind. For me, the first time that I heard it was in college when I wanted to be a journalist. And oh, I won't name the school, the college career counselor told me that he would not support my choice to get a bachelor's degree in journalism because blind
Wow.
people couldn't be journalists. Don't listen to those folks. Ignore them. We can do anything we want to do. It's not about being blind, it's about finding the alternative skills that you need to do the job and to accomplish what you want to do. And if you want to be an accessibility tester, come join CAT. We'll give you those skills. But whatever
Absolutely.
you want to do, go find a way to do it.
Yep, don't let anyone tell you you can't.
Spill the tea on digital accessibility.
Subscribe to the WCAT WeCat podcast on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. Links below.